listening to WKIT, Pyramid One World Radio. Hi, and welcome to Pyramid One World Radio. We're in a new year, so come with me as I tell you about two honored and very respected people who can, with their gifts, change your life. Ladies first, Maggie Clark. She's a co-host of a podcast called Psychic Evolution with the #1 guy in her life, Jamie Clark. Maggie Clark is a respected tarotist with 25 years of experience. For the last 14 years, Maggie has instructed people in the ways of tarot, both in colleges and privately. Her newest development is her online tarot learning program. An accomplished teacher, Maggie delights in teaching classes, workshops, and offering tarot readings. Maggie is the author of 365 Days of Tarot, Inspirational Tarot for your daily life. She is also a spiritual teacher, a spiritual coach, and healing arts practitioner. Her home base, is in Phoenix, Arizona. But what about Jamie? With decades of experience and a lifetime working with his natural gifts, Jamie offers powerful and accurate validations of the spiritual dimensions around us. Jamie is the host of the podcast Psychic Evolution with Maggie and author of the Psychic Evolution Training Cards, and he's also the author of the children's book, The Adventures of Rocco and Tuki, the Kids from Mars. As a spiritual teacher, Jamie shows and shares how to integrate the natural psychic senses with the empowerment of spiritual knowledge to help create a more fulfilling life of love, happiness, and success. Let's bring them on. Hey, it's Jamie and Maggie.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, hey.
Woo.
Hey, so Bob, as we were talking a few moments ago, was that the music that you guys created, that you guys were playing?
Yeah, it was a little piece.
That's awesome, man.
That was
I like
awesome.
that.
I love that funk.
I mean, I'm serious. I mean, it was just totally, it was just, we didn't know what we were doing. It was like, hey, man, let's do some of this stuff.
That's when it's most creative. You just free flow,
Yeah.
I think when you can get other people on that same channel, it only amplifies it. And then you guys can play off each other, man. That's beautiful.
I got it. I mean, we got guitars and things and all over.
Oh, cool. Hey, and so are you getting...
I got a keyboard behind me and that. I do the horns and everything else on the keyboard.
Nice. Very cool. Have you thought about getting back into having some fun with the music, or is that just off to the side, or what?
You know, I wonder if they have a senior night or something.
That's awesome. You guys, because you've been around for years, right? You've been playing for...
Really? Yeah, but I mean, I could see somebody get in front of, especially me, I was a singer for all those years. I could see me get in front of somebody going, yeah!
What? Huh?
Yeah, I'm serious. And then turn around and go,
Yeah, but you're versatile, man. You always have a good time. That must have been just amazing.
It would be interesting. Let me tell you. You know what? I tell you something. There was somebody in the morning that I taught. Well, a few people actually, and we were talking about something. I don't know. Just like we're having fun here, and that I was having fun there, which is most of the things I do anyway. So it doesn't matter. But you know, we were like making jokes and everything else. And this kid that was over there, and I turns around to me and he says, "Man," he says, "you know what? If you told that story in front of a lot of people," he said, "they'd be on the floor." It's, you know, it's like, who was that comedian that used to come out and tell all the real stories? I mean,
George Carlin?
George Carlin.
Yep.
There you go. I mean, that's what makes people great. We've
Yeah.
lived so much life that if we tell stories about what we've lived and loved, at that thing. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, I could tell stories about the window I broke in my car. Went into a drive-in, having fun in the car, no comment, and the speaker that was on the window broke the window out.
Oh God.
It was hanging on the window. The window was. I'm serious. I mean, funny things like that. And I mean, I could embellish, but I mean, it was
But
just,
that's part of the fun when you've gone through that. And if you can share that, a lot of times someone wants to join the adventure without having to go through it. They can learn from it. So that can be a very exciting and healing aspect when you can share a lot of your life experience to go, man, I don't know, it's just who I am. But hey, here's what we were doing. And I see so much going back to yesteryear. I'm like, God, I turned into my parents back in my day. Like, Lordy. But it's that kind of connection to just enjoy and the creativity to be a musician. Can I ask what got you to go in that direction at such a young age?
my mother. My mother was a singer.
Cool. Very nice.
Yeah, she was in the, let me see, the Papayas, what is it called? Papayas Choir of the 23rd or something like that. I don't know. She sang for the Pope. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
I mean, one of those kind of things that she was. In fact, before she passed, I got her, and let me tell you something. I did a lot of traveling. Oh my God, they made. They were in the. Let me see, the Manhattan School for Church for Girls or something like that in Manhattan.
Is that where you went? Is that?
No, that's where she. No. That's where she went to school, and that's where she became the singer. In the choir and everything. And they made a record, one record. They made a record, and it was all over the place. And that, so she didn't have a copy of it, and nobody had a copy of it. And she always used to tell me, when I was a little kid, what she did and the choir and everything else. So I went on a journey of my own. I went through every diocese I could find. I went to Rome, not literally, but I wrote them, and I finally got somebody that wrote me back, and that guy gave me one guy's name back here, I think from California. That guy gave me one in, I think it was Colorado or something, and he said, wait a minute, I think my friend has a couple of copies. Now, this is a guy in Colorado. I got a guy in Chicago and he was so cool. He wrote me this nice letter and everything else. He said, is your mother's name? And she, went to the whole thing because my mother's maiden name was Hart, Hardt. Well, it was Hart, but when they originally came over from Europe, it was Hardt.
Beautiful.
So that priest got me a copy, unopened, sealed.
Wow.
Yeah, and
he
sent it. I mean, he sent it in this huge box. I mean, this thing couldn't have broke if an elephant stepped on it. And that's the way he said it to me. And then I gave it to my mother for her birthday.
Oh, beautiful. How did she react with
She
that?
just cried.
I
put
bet.
it in, cried.
Wow.
And I also took the thing out, recorded a cassette, bought a cassette player. And when she got her present and she got the record and everything else, I just pushed the button on the record.
Beautiful.
And it was playing. Now, my aunt was also in the choir. She was in the background part of it. So my Aunt Lois and my mother were both in the same thing on the same record.
Cool.
How exciting.
All the priests and everything else, and bishop. I had to go to bishops, archbishops. I mean, all these people that I had to go to.
And you did it.
And but I was the kid that almost became a priest. And here I am talking to all these guys.
You've made reference to that. Can I ask what happened? Why'd you go in a different direction?
We had a Monsignor at our place, and I also taught a little bit of religion and everything else too. I mean, we had little kids, and I was like 8th grade, so it was like you could do that and Sunday, So I was talking to him about it and everything, and then he said, "Yeah, it would be perfect because you know this, blah 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 blah. I was prime, material And that I was a smart kid, and I knew what I wanted, and I was a very holy kid. That's just the way. Well, I was brought up that way. My mother was that way. My whole family was that way. I mean, Sunday, God forbid you didn't go to. I mean, there could be 6 feet of snow out there, and you'd walk to church.
I
But
bet.
it was like, hey, one of those things. So anyway, the Monsignor, after I had played, I was the first guitar player in church at a high mass ever.
Nice.
So I was
Congrats, man.
like half of the church walked out, like there was a whole bunch of women and everything else just walked out of the church. And then when I started playing and singing, but that was another story. Originally, they did come back, believe it or not. The priest said you had more people listening to you in their hearts and in their minds than I have ever gotten to listen to me, and I stand in front of them on the altar.
Beautiful.
He said, "Don't stop what you're doing." He said, "You're doing God's name, God's work."
So
he became a beautiful musician, yeah, and played in bands across the world.
That's about the size of it. That's what happened. I just stuck with that.
But what a beautiful experience that your music is equated to such a spiritual experience with that they're actually freaking listening. Like, hey.
But again, that is a time when the songs that we sang, the songs that we wrote, and that were songs that told a story. Every single one of them, all of them. The stuff that we used to do. My drummer was the writer of all the words. This guy could write prose like you have no idea. I mean, he was that good at it, and little tiny little short stories and things like that. He gave me a book one time. It had about 800 things in it, and he said, "Well, see what you can do." I said, "Okay." So I go through the thing, and it was funny because at that time, probably right now, but I just haven't tried it lately. When I went through and I read the works, and I mean I read them, all of them, I would hear music. Certain ones were there. So there was like 20 or 30 out of that whole book that I literally heard something.
Wow.
Now, the one that became the single was one that I heard, and that one was one that I wrote. I wrote the music too. His stuff, I wrote the music in the car. So, and I mean, no instrument, no nothing, just writing out of my head, just longhand kind of. So that's where that came from. It needed the sound of a keyboard. At the beginning, I've played it for you guys already. The keyboard part in the middle, in the very, very beginning, was what I heard in the car. Nothing I could play, nothing anybody had, sounded like that sound that I heard in the car. The place, I don't know if you guys even remember the place. There was a place called Bamberger's.
No.
It was the Jersey connection of Macy's.
Okay.
It was called Bamberger's in there. There was it was called the CZ101 keyboard. It was Casio made it. There was one setting on that whole machine. There's 101 settings on the machine. There was one setting on that machine that sounded just like the one that I heard in the car.
Ooh.
So
and what was it labeled?
That little bitty, that little bitty machine, and that I bought that for $450. I remember my mother gave me her. I mean, I was only about 18 at the time. No, 19. And she gave me her credit card. She says, "Go get the machine." So I went and got the machine and everything else, and that made. My mother was the one that actually made that whole thing, all those songs and everything else, and that full line back to back.
Beautiful.
And you just had to be you. That's the brilliance. Especially when you got mama backing you, man. It's like, hey, this is okay to do. All right. That must have been a thriving experience for you.
Well, it wasn't like money was dripping out of our ears. I mean, it was
creativeness.
My father passed away in 1961. This was 1970 when that happened.
That was when you were like 80. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, now I'm 413. But who's counting? I mean, that's what somebody working that said. They said, like you don't act like your age. I said, if I do that, I says I'm in the ground.
I'm right there with you. To me, it ain't nothing but a number. How youthful. No longer, old. It's how about young. And
Yeah.
that kind of connection, I just, that brings up a very cool point, and that is, like you had from your mom, I had from my mom, that I could thrive. I could just be me, and it was accepted. It was loved. It was appreciated. And not only that, I got to open up, in this case, with my mom for 20 years. We got to study and train. For mom to be in backing you, and then you're gifting, creating that, and her having to be able to share that music that you actually had to go trace down and get it, is beautiful. That must have been such a powerful experience for her.
My brother was she was very, 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 very supportive. I mean, you got to figure it this way. I had my license, let me say, maybe a couple months or something like that. My first gig, real paying gig, with my girl drummer, and that's Susie, which I keep telling her to come into the show, but she's staying. I mean, she's still there. I'm still her best buddy. So that's the way that is. And in fact, we were supposed to be the same in a spot that the Carpenters were in, but my drummer decided to get married. So that's what
takes precedence.
Otherwise, we would have been the Carpenters.
Wow.
I mean, that was the girl and the guy in the Carpenters, and we were the girl and the guy, but she was the drummer. I mean, if you ever saw or heard my drummer play, you would never, ever in a billion years ever think it was a 4'9" girl.
Beautiful.
That was playing the drums. I mean,
Surprise.
She was ridiculous. Yeah, oh yeah. And I played a 12-string guitar, and of course, the way I learned how to play a 12-string guitar, it could sound like 3 guitars.
Yeah.
And both of us were singers.
Oh wow. Very cool.
I mean, forget it. I mean, we were crazy, and she was a comedian too. So.
And did she grow up with music still in her system?
Oh yeah, yeah. Her daughter was on my show back about 4 or 5 months ago.
Cool.
Her daughter, she's a singer in Manhattan.
Beautiful.
And she's good. I mean, really, really good. She scrapped that right off mom.
Nice. And keeping that connection, that's huge. After all those years, Lordy.
Oh yeah. If I ever find a thing, I'll send you a picture of her and I on the night of our first gig.
Wow.
Gig. In fact, we were so good that the people after, let me see, we went there, I think we started about 9 o'clock. We got out of there at 4 o'clock at night, 4 o'clock in the morning. The owner of the place actually kept the place open, and the people passed around this big bowl and put money in the bowl to pay us for the extra hours they wanted us to stay there and play.
Nice.
What a nice validation. They're investing that energy, man.
And that was the first night we ever played. I mean, it was crazy.
What a great validation. Was that enough of a spark to get you going strongly, or did you just kind of ebb and flow within that?
We played the next weekend, and the next weekend, and the next weekend. Oh yeah, we did very well. Wow.
Takes a lot of guts, man. That's creativity, but you got to be able to back what you're doing too. Like, oh.
We did a high. What's this? We were the highlighted band at the. Let me see, what the hell was the name of that place? I guess it was the Hilton Stratton. It's right over the Gate Bridge in Buffalo, going into Niagara Falls.
Okay, cool.
And it's the hotel right there on the other side net. They had us in there. When we got up there, nobody realized it was only 2 people. So we got our agent got us the gig up there, and they went bananas. They actually doubled our salary when we were up there. That was
you guys were talented enough to do all of the music and
anything. I had a box that had music books in it. So if somebody said, "Well, can you do?" I said, "See me on the break." During the break, I'd go through all my books, find the song, and play the song for the person that wanted the song. So we'd make $20 on that one, $10 on this one. Yeah, oh yeah. Well, we were racking it in, man.
Especially in those days, man. That's some big cash.
Yep.
As a kid too.
I got pictures of it. I have pictures of us there too.
Excellent.
I'll see if I can send some pictures over to you.
Yeah, man. I'd love to see that.
Kind of crazy. Because I mean, really, when you've been all over the world and now you're sitting in Lakeland, Florida, in your own studio, it's like, hey,
Yeah, but how did it feel to be able to travel the world while you could? Not everyone gets to do that.
At the time, it was it seemed normal. It really, really did. To anybody now, like we got somebody right now in the phone room, anonymous. That's what, anonymous. So, and I tried a couple times to get them, and they didn't answer me. So they're there.
That's
but
okay.
Don't worry
Yeah,
about it, anonymous. We'll be to you soon.
We're coming for you.
Something like that. But the idea, no, seriously. Well, when we did our travel and everything else net around the world and things, we were just like kids in a candy factory. It was all these things we had heard about, that we learned about, that we learned history about, that we learned geography about, all these different things that you go through. Like Europe, forget about it. That was like, wow. Like I said, if you went through a cemetery that was in Hamburg, my last name was on a whole bunch of those stones over there.
Wow. Must have been a little surreal. Like
my bass player, which is right now in North Carolina, and we talk too, back and forth.
Nice.
He said, well, serious, we could play. You know what? I told him one time, I said, can we play on the phone? Like, you play on your side, I'll play on my side.
Well, how about that? Do you do Zoom? Have you guys thought about doing that kind of stuff? Or
the crazy things are coming. Don't worry. But the idea of the thing is, he said, hey, Bob, here, I got a hole for you over here. It was like Abby said, it was like a garden. I mean, it was like he's going to plant me somewhere.
That's beautiful. And that you keep your connections. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Not everyone does. A lot of time you grow into your own life experience and just kind of, distance and not make the connection.
Like there must be a lot of things, Ned, you're, what you do too. This is a family. Music is something that people that just think of music as music, they don't really get it. It's good that they love the music and everything else, Ned. I love those people that love music. I mean, love music for music, not to love music because, hey, well, somebody could sing it, but I'm driving, I can sing. No. It's something that you feel. You don't,
Speaks to your soul.
Yeah, right. It sticks to your soul. So when we were all musicians and all knew each other and everything else, we never broke any of those connections because we were part of each other in what we did. So therefore, we do, look, we were creators. Creators have fights. Trust me. We had fights. I mean, nobody got hurt. Nobody got hit. But, they were like arguments and everything else and good things and not one thing that we ever argued about ever came out as good as it was when it was. It came out better.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Because all our souls in what we were doing were put together in one place and made a difference.
And it vibes with that energy. People will feel that. That's what I love is the music is the neutrality. It's what value do we place upon it. When you can reach into people's souls by their own choice that they allow it to happen, they just thrive. It's that music speaking to me. Not only that, for myself, there'll be times when I hear a song and it takes me way back to yesteryear, like, oh, wow. And instantly being able to recall the experience or circumstance or whatever the case is. But what an exciting share of the soul. That's why I do what I do, man. I love what I do. It's not only what I do, it's who I am. And to be a part of this and to help myself as well as others, that's beautiful because it's all a win-win. We're all a family. In that cosmic family, it's nice to have your own fun, your own flavor, and add to it in whatever way.
I've told people that before. I said, for crying out loud, I said, get them earbuds things out of your goddamn ears and put on the music so that everybody can hear it.
Yeah.
If somebody's gonna sing, or if a bunch of people, like when we were kids in school. Remember? No, you don't. You're not old enough.
I'm heading towards 60.
They used to have these when transistor radios first came out, and I can relate to that time. When they first came out, they only had maybe 3 or 4 channels on them. And whatever channel it was closest to you, whatever radio station was transmitting closer to where you were standing, that's the one you got. Maybe the other 3 channels would never come in. because there wasn't a radio station that was close that was in that band. But we used to take that radio and put that radio in the middle of our table when we were kids. I mean, kids. And we were having like lunch and things like that. And we'd be singing the songs that were on the radio because the radio was audible. You could hear it and you could sing with it. Now everybody walks around with these things in their ears and they're all going.
Yeah.
So then you go, well, what are you listening to? What are you listening to? Huh? I'm serious. This is real.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yep.
One of the things that I sent you, I even say in the thing, instead of, looking down at your phone and getting a chiropractor because your neck's, whatever, from going like that, get your face out of the phone, get on the phone and call here and talk to you, Jamie, and you, Maggie.
Yes.
Maggie. Because this is something that's out of the shell, out of the egg. You're creating something. You're creating an aura for yourself. You're creating a new life for yourself. You're creating the striking down of all the questions that you've had because somebody actually answered or told you what to do to answer it for yourself. All these things are in there, but people don't listen. I spoke to somebody this morning, and he did exactly what I just said to you. I talked to him 3 times, and he was still going. Finally, I pushed him. Now this kid's as big as a football player, so I pushed this kid. He did move. I'm not a light pusher, but he did push. And he turns around and he goes, "What?" So I said to him, I says, get the thing out of his ear. So he takes the thing out of his ear. I said, "Can you hear me now?" He goes, "Yeah." I says, "Get the freaking thing out of your ear and listen to me for 10 seconds, all right?" He goes, "Oh."
Remember that?
Oh.
Old school talking. Now the kids are in front of each other doing that. Lordy.
Yeah, and they wonder why kids aren't learning. Well, it's good. You know what I mean? Your brain's like a sewer pipe. After a while, the what gets backed up, and that's it. So you keep playing with that cell phone, and that's the stuff that backs up the pipe.
Yeah, and it not only can it do that, but it can be a learning tool as well. I'm kind of equating this like back in the old day for the cell phone. We're working on the technology for the soul phone, dimensional frequency resonator.
Oh, but if you don't tell me more about that, I saw
when I'm able to, we'll talk about that.
I saw some stuff.
I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. And I equate it like this is kind of like the yesteryears, the early 1900s, when Nikola Tesla, scientist, was like, irregardless of the distance, it will be that they're right in front of you and you'll be able to fit this mechanism in your pocket. And back then people were like, are you freaking crazy? You need to have it plugged into a wall. You got to have that 800-foot cord. And now, because they're like, well, how is that thing going to pick up signals that no one can see? Exactly. That kind of technology, all you need is the right way to receive the information and project it as well. So it's going to be, the day will be here when we're talking like, we are on the other side and you're right here going, yeah, but that also opens the door to interdimensionals, other universes, other galaxies in this way that are close. And it goes on and on and on. But man, not only that, you can dial into the angelic realm or the ascended masters or extraterrestrials or interdimensionals and, all that kind of good stuff. But it's fun because this technology is, in a way, bringing the world together. From back in the day, remember back in that publishing day, for a book, you had to have an agent and you had to have a publishing company and all that, or you weren't doing any of it. Now we're able to do all of that on our own and instantly be worldwide. That's the connection that, just to me, that's going to shift people's consciousness, is when you're connecting with your loved one or whoever it is that you're wanting to connect with, that energy is just a click away. And when you can go into the etherics, the ether tracing, then it's really cool.
They don't realize that the energy that's in a human body has more energy than Wi-Fi.
Damn, I didn't know that. Cool.
It can transmit just like Wi-Fi, only better.
That's mediumship. Exactly. All you do is tune in. The other side knows how to tune into us. I'm right there with you. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Channel gets clearer.
Did anybody tell you, like some people that tell me, what do you create? What do you want?
I've been very fortunate. I don't think I've ever had anyone say that, except friends in a playful way. But no one's ever like, you some weirdo. Like, hey, I'm just doing me. But what I do and what we do, everyone can do. That's why we love the podcast, Psychic Evolution, is to share some tools and techniques, to give people some information that if they choose, that they can work with it and develop their own abilities. And it's really cool because we get to have fun, not only with us and using what we do as our abilities, but sharing that connection so that other people can realize, okay, I'm not alone. Because, sometimes you're doing it, you're like, anyone else experiencing this? Because Lordy. And so when we've gone through that in our own way, kind of like you with that childhood aspect, it's not always easy to get into your spiritual stuff, especially with the beautiful religions. But I've had so many more people coming to me over the past number of years that their pain is outweighing their fear of condemnation from the big guy. And I've shared before, they'll be like, Jamie, I've never, ever been to somebody who does what you do. And my church don't look too kindly on it. My first response is, wow, first off, congratulations for having the guts to sit here. Second, let's just get a basic meaning of mediumship. To me, a basic meaning is to consciously connect with a being, a spirit, an entity outside of a physical body. I'm like, is that decent? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so with that very definition, if you talk to God, Jesus, the angels, you're doing mediumship. And I'm willing to bet with that particular style of mediumship, you're hoping and praying for life-changing miracles and instant communication. Now, I want to share something that happened a number of years ago with some of the scientific studies I was doing in the Hollywood area in a private home aspect. I woke up to the sound of trumpets, like it was amazing. It was just, and the way that I had no choice but to go, no one had music on. It wasn't like that. It was incredible. But to wake up to that was fascinating because I went from, as I perceived, the dream state into the conscious awake state with that vibrational pattern of the angelic realm. It was just beautiful. Really kind of nourished my soul, man.
They heard trumpets in, was it Norway, I think it was, or the Netherlands? Something key to the Northern Lights.
Okay, cool.
And they had the sound of trumpets.
Beautiful.
From the sky.
Oh, wow.
Look it up. Sound of trumpets from the sky.
I'll have to do that. Very cool. And if we can get enough of this, that's why, I always say, please be skeptical, question everything, just be open. That way you get the practicality of spirituality. And this technology, along with other things, is allowing us to get connected as a world and to realize that, the power of numbers is a very real thing. And when this kind of a comforting energy that, right, you're a couple of hours ahead of us as we perceive it in the future, yet we're right here. And then if somebody's connecting with Hawaii, which is a couple of hours behind us or in the past as we perceive it, but when we're connecting now on the internet web, like the universal web, the past, present, and future are all happening now. Future can learn from the past can learn from the future, giving you the gift of living in the present. And it's that kind of practical stuff to go to life after. I'm like, well, aren't we right now living on the other side of where we come from before here? Doesn't that mean we must have died, or could it just be a shift in consciousness and vibrational patterns of energy?
So I'm talking to my past.
Yeah, exactly. That I'm telling you, that stuff is real. I equate it, for now, as I've been an adult, I've gone back to my younger childhood me, and I've given information, I've given insight. And, thinking back on that when I was a child, I didn't have a lot of abundance, any of that. And they'd treat me like, oh, and I always thought to myself, you have no idea who I might be. Back then, I didn't even know who the frick I was. It was just a knowingness in my soul. And now, all these years later, when I started going back to the younger me, that made sense. Not only that, I wanted to see if there was an aspect of connection and communication. And what I mean by that is I went back to a younger me, And I was sharing with the younger me some of the adventures of Rocco and Tuki, the Kids from Mars, that my mom and I had written together. Well, when I came out of that visual, a whole nother story was uploaded. Oh, God, that's brilliant. So it allowed me to not only go and connect with the past me, but to connect with the present me into the future me, and getting this ability to be creative, that I'm the future compared to my past and the past compared to my future. So, it's all right here, right now. And when they can get the practicality to realize it's all interconnected, it's all one, truly for me, it's all about the love, that kind of a connection is going to allow people to ease into their own life if and whenever they're ready, so that they can begin to find themselves within life and that life within them. Because so many people just exist. They don't live. There's a big difference.
Wow.
Yeah. It's all about the love, man.
You're talking about the past too.
Yeah, huh?
You must have some kind of a connection or something with my mother.
You'd be surprised.
It's got to be something, because what just went through my head while you were talking, and that was to ask Mom about the extra driveway that was built because I had a car. Now, wouldn't that be a weird thing to think about?
Yeah, wouldn't it? Except that they can drop it into your mind.
That's what I said. Drop it in. Yep. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the biggest gift. That's why I always say, to me, the biggest gift that we can give ourselves and our loved ones is to connect with them like they're connected with us. And truly, but a thought away. It is instantaneous. And the ability to traverse those interdimensionals and all that with, one, questioning everything so that you can be practical about this spiritual stuff. And two, maybe if you choose, work with some of these. And as for me, because I question everything, but I put it to the test. And when I can get a validation, an outcome, something that gives me solidness, I'm more willing to use that in my day-to-day living. So it becomes not the fear, but the empowerment to go, well, what else can I learn? Because I always say, man, I know that the more I know, I don't know nothing, but I'll share my perspective.
Hold on. We can come Anonymous is still there.
Oh, cool. Hey, Anonymous. Lots of love to you. That's cool, man. Just let them enjoy, let them relax.
Are you can you talk?
Silence. The nothingness that is the everythingness.
They're still listening.
Cool. Well, awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. Mag and I love doing what we do. And, the great thing is me, the person that I've always been. I love and respect and appreciate Mag for her just being her. All the life experience, everything it took to brought us, and bring us into this moment of life is brilliant, because the nicety is we don't have to change anything. We already are making those changes as a growth-seeking being. And when it can be understood and accepted to go, oh, you're doing your thing, I'm doing mine, great, and we can do it together, then it's a beautiful ride. It doesn't have to always be separated and alone, like a lot might feel. Not in a relationship, but in life itself. Is there anyone else I can talk with about this? Because, one of them. That's why I love doing the scientific studies. Let's put the practicality of this scientifically quantifiable and all that kind of good stuff. Then it moves from.
What girlfriends I had.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeehaw. Uh-huh. Yo, by the way, I still know my first.
Excellent.
First girlfriend. I spoke to her about a year ago.
Wow. Can I ask, how did that play out? Have you guys stayed connected all these years, or was it just an out of the blue kind of?
I worked at a place that was close to where she had moved. She was married, kid.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Where she had moved, and somehow or another, we spoke then, and then a couple of years later, and now I heard from her again. Facebook. I happened to see the name up there, and then again and again and again about a year ago.
Wow.
And then, how are you doing? Oh, I missed you. I was like, I missed you too.
And how does it feel being grown into you? Yeah, that's the interesting thing is what has your life done? What have you done with it? Where have you gone? What are those experiences? It's kind of nice that after these years you're meeting up again.
I hope she's still alive after a year. I mean, we were the same age, so.
Yeah, oh, shit. Yeah, you're lucky.
Yeah, I had let me see, when we first went out, I had a 1970 Torino GT.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
With the window that was flat,
Yep.
just the back window on the thing. And that was, had a Boss 302 in it.
God,
So you
that's
touch
yesteryear, man.
gas pedal and you go, where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Now, did you ever do the drag racing? Because back in the day, we
Yeah.
used to have that in Arizona.
Route 80 wasn't Route 80 yet. It was being built. And they had it from where our house was in Saddlebrook, if you ever look at a place. And you look at Patterson or Clifton on Route 80.
Okay.
We had about 2 miles of flat cement road.
Nice.
And yeah, we had the cops that come down there at one time and everything else. What are you guys doing down here? Oh, just messing around a little,
And it's interesting to see because I think back to my high school years and all that kind of stuff where the 7th Street and Union Hills used to be the outer limits. There was nothing. It was all
Right.
desert, and now everything's built up around it and just way beyond it. So it's fascinating to see the simplified energy of what we grew up with the complexity to go, look at how much it's growing. And still, keeping, at least for here in Arizona and Phoenix, it's got more of the friendly, down-to-earth town. It's not getting into such a huge city where everyone's just ignoring each other. Mm-hmm. So it's really nice to keep that at least friendly. People here that I meet are always very friendly.
We did that when I was married the first time. We were thinking about where we wanted to go. Where do you go after you get married? Right? You're supposed to go somewhere, right? Honeymoon, whatever. So we took Route 80 and went west. We just followed Route 80.
Wow.
We went with more. I mean, it was so cool. I mean, I had a, what year was that? 1975? 1975 Ford Chateau van. The long one.
Yeah.
And it was like, it had the single bed in the back.
Mm-hmm.
How big that thing was. And, the 4 chairs and the whole thing. And it was like, we just went. I mean, we saw the caverns. We saw all of Ohio, where you see nothing but corn as far as you can see.
Yeah.
To Indiana, when you go in there, and we went through Chicago. We were in the Sears building, all the way up in the air on top. My father he worked for an ambulance company that was on the circle of the Louvre of Chicago.
Oh, cool.
Right there. And the place was still there. It's still an ambulance place.
Wow.
So we saw that. We saw the Brown River.
Now, in traveling, did you ever have a camera that you got any pictures? Or you just...
Yeah, they went somewhere with the second wife.
The pictures did. Maybe the camera too.
Sure.
No camera. Not the film.
Oh, she'll tell you where to go.
All the films, all the pictures and everything else, and that I got home one day and it was all gone.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so all those memories and everything else that are gone.
Can I ask, how did you react to that? Just shut down or what?
It kind of shut down. Yeah,
I would have been like, Lordy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many things that you wanted,
Yeah.
like old records, everything else, like the entire collection of the Beatles.
And do you still have any of the vinyls?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have many, but my sister Valerie she had a whole collection, man. Beatles and everything, and looking back through that, it was just amazing. Because, now it's like, oh, that's the old school. Whereas that was the updated version and incredible stuff.
We talk about, you said something before, and that reminds me of what we're talking about in a sense. Back then, you could, or now, you could say exactly where you were when you heard this song. I mean, It was one of those kind of things that they played this thing. If it was Motown, it was this, that, whatever. You knew where you were, what you were doing, what grade you were in, what year it was, what car you had, who you had in the back seat. The whole, I mean, or the movies, whichever came first.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it was like you knew it was the music.
And not only that, but connected to it. I remember the day when I was young, I'm standing at the kitchen doing the dishes, and I heard that Elvis Presley had died, Mama. And I'm like, holy crap, because he was one of my people that I ever even wanted to be like. That was just incredible. So it's interesting that not only is it the experience, but the experience connected to the music, in this case, Elvis, back then, that I just really appreciated. So it's interesting that I remember standing at the sink and the person told me what had happened. And I'm like, are you serious? And it was still young, but I very clearly remember that. Very interesting.
I was in Catholic school, regular Catholic church school, when Kennedy was shot. And we were watching TV too when it came on.
Wow.
The nun that was there, and she went nuts. She wanted to turn the thing off, and another nurse went around. He said, "Leave him on."
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And you guys just go with it?
They closed school for a week.
Yeah. Wow. That kind of tipped the 9/11 thing. I remember watching the news in that morning, and then all of a sudden seeing the first jet, I guess, as things were changing, but very surreal, very weird kind of an energy.
That's what people say. People say that all the time, and they say, well, just this, that, and the other thing. And then we were watching on TV and there was smoke and this, that, and the other thing. I said, no, you missed half of it. And they go, well, how do you know? I said, I was standing there. Right in the building that I was in, all I had to do was walk about 500 feet or something. And at that particular point in Kearney, New Jersey, the roads went straight down. And if you looked this way, here was the Twin Towers.
Wow.
Straight out from the top of that hill.
Dang.
So we saw the second plane. Poof.
Was that crazy or what?
Yeah.
What an energy vibe to see something that powerful.
Diane was down the block, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So she went on the east side. So, yeah.
What a small world, man. I think that's when we have our own life experiences, and sometimes if our spouse or our loved one or whomever it is has those, it's kind of nice to be able to share some of those experiences. Hey, and what happened with you at this age, and what was this? And it's really nice to kind of see and feel that growth. For me, I knew my brothers and sisters at a young age, and then as they've grown, in this case, it was my older brother, Bill, who I hadn't seen in quite some time, but it was very interesting for me to remember when I was younger and then talking with him when I was an adult, so to speak. Like, wow, what a whole different vibe. But I've always been me, just the oddball me. He's like, yeah, you. He always knew I did what mom does.
Let's try it. Hey, Anonymous, you still there?
Yep. That was me.
Oh.
That was me.
I know it was you.
Yeah.
Hello.
That's okay. Don't bug them. If they want to just listen, I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
that's good. And may I ask what got you into this capacity of what you're doing, from the music into being a radio host? And
what is the difference? I was always in radio station. I mean, not radio stations, but studios, all the time, music studios. I always had boards in front of me. I was always pushing buttons, this or doing that or clicking.
You're still pushing buttons, yeah.
I know, but it's just they never changed. This is a microphone. Hello, and it's like I sang in these things for so many years. From the time I was like, let me see, my first microphone. I think it was about 8 or 9. When I got the first one, it was a little silver one about this big, and it was a cardioid, I think they called them, something like that.
Did that make it easier for you to get into what you're doing now?
I sounded like Minnie Mouse. I mean, it was great. It was like, whoa, and it was kind of crazy. But then the puberty hit, and I started getting this real.
Then you got good.
Then I sang the song too, and it was like, you never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips.
The voice of God.
We used to do some crazy stuff. But I mean, that was just one of the things that we used to do in it. But it was like at the time, our bands that were crazy. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I can go up to I guess about a high A, and all the way down to a low E. But I
I'm
mean,
like, I appreciate that. I can't do any of that. I could
that
speak.
was my mother's whole thing.
Yeah. Now, was she on Broadway? Did she do anything else?
No, I was on Broadway.
Very cool. Yeah, my mom was on for many years, so she was in Guys and Dolls and a variety of other aspects.
I did that too.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I did that one.
Yeah, so it was great because she, as I was growing up, she taught me ballet, she taught me tap, jazz, all that kind of stuff. So it was really nice that she had such a natural talent, but I got to have the benefits of it. So we would spend hours a day sometimes just working on that training. Books on the head and walking, man. Tours jetés, grand battements, all that kind of stuff.
But you see where we wound up. Well, I'm serious. What, really, people don't get it. Like a lot of people that just cruise through their lives, straight as they go. I say that life is something you have to live. You should taste everything. I don't care how bizarre. I mean, bizarre. I'd say, think about it. But bizarre, go for it. If it's that dumb, I mean, come on, let's face it. My first car was $30.
Wow.
We went through a whole winter of us guys going back and forth to bowling and all kinds of different places and everything else, but one snow tire. One.
And you did it.
And we were in 3 feet of snow that sometimes. All the guys that would go out and push the car down the block so we get to parts, spots where there was no snow. I mean, we did some really dumb things. I mean, really, really dumb.
Yeah, and
like, this is what we wind up doing. Something we wind up teaching other people that we're not telling you not to do stupid things. All you can do, stupid people. I've done that too. But the idea is, like I say all the time, to love people. Love yourself first. That's the first thing you have to do. If you can't love yourself, forget it. Get out of here. Get out of my face. But the idea is to love yourself. If you love yourself and you believe in yourself and you know who you are, and sometimes that's a hard time to get time. Take some time to get around that one. But if you can know yourself, then you can know others. And others will be the people who will turn around and they will want to befriend other people and other people and other people. And where does it come back? To you.
Nice ripple. Yep.
It all comes back. Yes. Like we were just talking about, okay? We got the first girlfriend. We got the drummer, the girl drummer. We got the bass player and that from the other band and everything. We can't find the drummer for some reason. I don't know where the hell he went. I know where the lead guitar player is. But I mean, he's out in California. This guy was so good that he could sound. He had 4 different amplifiers. He was wired to all 4 of them, and with a switch that was custom made into his guitar, he could switch amps that the signal from the guitar was going to. This is all wireless stuff too.
Wow!
And he could sound like any lead guitar player out there. The sound of the leads that he used to do was exactly note for note, sound and tone, exactly like the other person did.
Wow.
Like Freebird, forget about it. Freebird, forget about it.
And did he do anything with that talent? Did he go into the music?
Yeah, he does like, how people do voice overs?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he does music overs.
Oh, very cool. Wow.
And nobody knows that it wasn't really the real.
Yeah, exactly. That's talent, man. Beautiful.
So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that he does. And he bums around doing that. And he probably makes tons and tons and tons of money out there.
Cool. Yeah. Do what you love what you do.
Follow your passion, follow your creativity.
That's to have the guts to do it.
The most beautiful thing, because your soul leads you through that creative, bounty that is just here, whether it's singing, whether it's bouncing books on your head, whatever that looks like.
We're talking about history. We're talking about personal history, personal things that we went through and everything. Well, we're talking, wouldn't it be nice that if people listening to these shows could actually reflect themselves on the facts that these shows are putting on the table? These are things that people should remember. I mean, for years and years, we've seen monuments torn down and a whole bunch of other stuff in that goes along with all that stuff. That's history. And I believe that if you don't know where you came from, you'll never realize where you're going.
Repeat the patterns. Yeah, exactly.
Or you're not going to repeat those patterns, but what you're going to do is you're going to complete, correcting, and when it comes out the other side, oh man, it's virgin good stuff. It's like all the mistakes that could have been made or that was made in the past is now gleaned, GLEENED, and now it's brand new. It's a brand new beginning. It's a brand new stuff. But you have to know, not imagine or not throw out of your mind or not burn or take down or destroy. You have to remember where you came from to know where you're going. Because where you're going is, since you're in now you have to say, I am going to do that. It's the positive attitude. But you don't get a positive attitude from not remembering the negative side. It's like I always say in politics, if you don't know both sides of the coin, don't play. Everybody in it, they say, well, we have to do this. Well, yeah, but why? And nobody's got the why.
I was just going to ask. Okay, apparently.
Yeah, nobody's got the answer to the why. They all go, well, we have to do that, and we can't do that. Why not? I mean, I'm be bad.
I'm right there questioning, man.
Yeah, you wouldn't want me in Washington at all. I mean, I'd be the first guy to turn around.
We should have you. Yeah. Freaking A.
But there's nobody there. There's only let me see, 1, 2, 3. Well, I tip my fingers, 4 guys that are there that think like we do. The rest of them go with the flow. Why? Because they get a paycheck. And why? Because all these groups and these other political groups and that come in and everything else, they get they get a taste of this, they get a taste of this, they get a little perk of that and a perk of this. So by the time they're all finished, they got double their salary that they get from the government. So they wind up in 3 years that they're in the government. They go walk in with $1,000 in the bank and they walk out with $1,000,000.
Yep.
But they only made $300,000 with the government.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's got kind of crazy stuff. Maggie, you've had something on your mind for the last 5 minutes.
No, I'm just thinking about this whole conversation. It's really, to me, this is really about following your passion, following your creativity, and knowing that can steer you into joy, that can steer you into a life purpose, that can, the fact that you grew up with a microphone and you're still on a microphone, this is something that you were
with this,
you have.
This goes down with me.
Right. But you had the willingness to not necessarily follow the tried and true, the rules of something that was steady and sure. And, what everyone said, you must have a good career and just do something good. You're like, no, I'm going to follow my passion. I'm going to be a musician. I love that. I love when we can step outside the box, when we can be true to ourselves, we can follow our heart, we can follow our passion, and it always will be with you. It always, like, it just doesn't go away. Whatever you're passionate about, whatever sparks your creativity, it's always going to come back into your energy field as a resource, whether it's a good song on the radio, whether it's a nice voice on the microphone, in your situation. I've been thinking about, look at the overview. The overview is that you followed a passion and you made it work. And it was influenced by your mom. It was influenced by the people in your surroundings. So you chose your parents really well. Just like Jamie chose his parents really well to be influenced. But there's so many people that get caught in the hamster wheel and they don't know how to get off. They don't know how to follow their passion if they're deciding to do it later in life versus earlier in life. And I think that's the bridge that we all have to come to at some point. If we didn't follow passion early in life or didn't know what our passion was, how do we then get off the hamster wheel of what we were told we were supposed to do and get on the wheel of the creative vibe of love and the creative vibe of passion and just allowing that energy, just the freedom of that? So I don't know. It's just something that I think that we all get to think about, inside and be like, okay, really, what am I passionate about? And where can I direct that passion? Where can I, express that? Where I can create from that passion? And I think that's the beauty of this whole show today.
Yeah.
And you know what? All of a sudden, we've got all kinds of people.
Well, tune in next time. We'll get them. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And there they go. Yeah, let me see now. The next show I'll
2
have
weeks.
yeah, but that's Valentine's Day.
It is
Oh, it
Valentine's
is,
Day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are
We
you
might
guys
have to
be on it Valentine's Day, or are you guys going to be out on Valentine's Day?
a little bit of both.
I look, none of us are home. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here anyway.
My dad's birthday is on Valentine's Day, so it's kind of cool. I'm like, oh, beautiful. I didn't even realize it was that perfectly aligned. Wow.
Yeah.
We can do love readings that day.
Hey. Call in, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's do
Anonymous too.
love readings on Valentine's Day.
If you're able to, if you have the time open.
I ain't going nowhere. Nobody
Okay,
loves
perfect. Good. So let's do it. Let's tune in.
Hey, my dog loves me.
Yeah. That's beautiful. You just have to be you. Natural. That's the point. It's all about the love.
All about the love. Let's do love readings. I like love readings.
Did you guys ever did I showed you this one, didn't I?
Nice.
Oh, that's
Built
beautiful.
in the 50s.
I love it, man. Yeah.
Unrestored. Nice.
Oh, that's good.
Some parts still in progress.
That's awesome.
Working order.
How appropriate, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's I tell you, that's so true.
Yesteryear and the good qualities, man. What do we want to take with us?
It will be crazy.
Always good, brother. And then we will see you on Valentine's Day.
You know what? Tell everybody on the 14th. You people that are still in the phone room over there. Really, on the 14th, these guys are going to be back. They're going to be doing readings about your lovings. Now, let me tell you something. If anybody wants a woman, this is not the place you're going to get the woman. But it will give you a direction. It will tell you whether you should, whether you shouldn't. Who knows? Maybe they'll even say whether it's a blonde or a brown-haired character.
Yeah.
Or 4 foot, or 4 foot, or 6'5".
Yeah.
Yeah, or 95 pounds, or 195 pounds, or 400.
It's all beauty. It's all love, man.
It's there's so many different things. So many when it comes to and with dating now, by the way, with COVID. There is a new shirt out that I saw the other day, and I'm tempted to order the shirt. It's for St. Patty's Day. It says, "Kiss me. I'm unvaccinated."
Oh, that's cute.
Because people that are that are vaccinated, you shouldn't kiss them because those people can pass whatever they've got from those things over to you.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank God I'm married to you.
I know. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, if it's 2 vaccinated people, that's cool. If it's 2 unvaccinated people, that's cool. If it's one or the other and you don't care, that's okay too.
Yeah, we're on the same page. We've got that connection, man. It's all good, brother.
Since when do vaccines emit things to other people?
I don't know.
Right.
Always good, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, they're going to be back on Valentine's Day. Can you imagine that? We're going to get the heart back here, sitting on it. Yeah, we're going to do that too. Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, everybody, look, you got to call the number 609 663 0153. Now, if you want to, you can text me anytime. The company, the station, WKIT, has its own text number. That number is 863-222-4199. Anywhere in the world you can text me. So go ahead, guys. Try it out. Meanwhile, God bless you all. Bob Charles.